today's episode of Let's Talk Dog Business, we are joined by Isla Fishburne, and I'm very excited to do this episode. I actually don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm very excited to do it. So, hi Isla, thank you ever so much for joining us today.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for inviting me. And likewise, I never have a clue where these talks and shares are going to go. So let's see. Let's have some curiosity.
I love it. I love going into these things. In fact, Vicky was saying to me this morning, she's like, what are we actually talking about today? And I was like, I don't know. We'll just see where the conversation goes because it's the best way. It's the best way. So I think for everybody, it would probably be really useful if you could just do a little introduction about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Oh, thank you so much for that. So, well, hello. I'm Dr. Isla Fishburne. And what is it that I do? Well, I work with dogs, but I'm not a dog trainer. I always feel like I have to share that. And I want to share, if anybody's not seen the Goonies, and this is going to be completely wasted on them, but if you have seen the Goonies, then it's a little bit like when Chunk gets kidnapped and they're like, we want to know everything. And he's like, everything, we want to know everything. And then basically he starts from the day that he was born. And it's been a long walk. So the nature of my business, which is Kachina Canine, has been a long walk, which I continue to explore, research, study, expand on, and teach. But it started way, way, way back from a young age of my just love for animals, and not just animals, but for nature. And when I was really young, to this day they're still there, but when I was really young, I always had a wolf and a bear walk with me. And I assumed that everybody could see this wolf and bear, and I assumed that everybody else had this wolf and bear. And it was later on in my life that I realised that what I could powerfully see were just two of my power animals. So we all have power animals, and yeah, from a really early age, I could see my two power animals. And I had this really deep connection with nature where, not that I could hear from nature, but I was aware that everything is alive. So when I used to go out into the countryside, I was really fortunate growing up as a child in these spaces where there was a lot of countryside around where I lived, and I would go and welcome the waters and the rocks and the trees and the plants and the animals and the sky, and just like, hello, 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 hello. And so I kind of always had that connection, and this kind of really anchored me into this space of, we can also connect with our animal friends in this way. So I've always had this passion of creating this connection with animal professionals, animal guardians, of how we can have this deeper relationship with our animal friends. And that took me on a journey into zoology, conservation biology, understanding our dogs as ecosystems, understanding our dogs as individuals, bringing me into teaching about canine wellness. But when I was deeply teaching about canine wellness, there was just always something else, and that something else was kind of like the spiritual side. I was aware that I practiced that kind of behind closed doors, particularly when I was in academia. Like, we don't bring the spirit into academia, which in a way is hilarious because science was formed on spirituality. But there was always just almost like just something else to complete that circle. And for me, it was the spiritual aspect of our life with our animal friends, that whilst they have their own needs, that whilst they are a living biological animal and we need to do what's best for them and to support them emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and also connecting them to nature, how they are also in our lives as beings of consciousness that pull us into our own soul consciousness, looking at our own healing, looking at how we feel about ourselves, looking at how we can return to living back in the heart with them. And that's kind of what I teach now. So I kind of teach everything from canine wellness, our animal as a physical being that has its own needs and support, but also how the animal is in our life to bring forward as a being of consciousness, what we're here to explore with them for our own lessons, learning, teaching, and back into connection with spirit as well.
I mean, I am so into all of this. I love it. It sounds incredible, and it's all this woo category. And weirdly, when you was talking about things like your conservation biology and all of that, I've literally got 2 exams left on my animal behaviour degree that I am doing. And all of that stuff and the ecosystems and the biology, in all honesty, it's bringing back nightmare flashbacks of the assignments that I've literally just had to hand in. But it's really interesting, that bit that's so heavily steeped in academia. And for me, I think I'm really interested in looking at how you've managed to weave this passion into essentially a business, because arguably from a business perspective, it's very niche. You will be talking to very few people. And for a lot of dog trainers out there, we bring this up a lot in going, the dog industry in itself is very general practitioner. It's very, let's just learn as much as we can from all of these different amazing people that are out there and just try and shoehorn it into everything. So we are ticking the box for absolutely everybody. And it's our belief that actually you're doing more damage, not only to yourself, but to your clients by trying to be that GP, because it's really difficult to be that specialist and to be that expert that is there for someone. And what I love about everything that you do is it is so bespoke and it is so incredibly unique that you will, I imagine anyway, I don't know for certain, but I imagine it would actually turn a lot of people off. However, those that are attracted to it are going to be so your perfect client. How have you found that journey?
So firstly, apologies for giving you twitchy eye for the assignments that are coming. I really understand and remember that well. So, yeah. Yeah, so there's a few things that I want to share there. Like, firstly, it's actually, I feel so comfortable now and at peace that it's not my job to convince anybody. I really felt, and I suppose there's a nature there of like ego, desperation, self-importance. I need to be the best. I need people to know about me or like me or whatever it may be. But I'm just like, yeah, this is for the right people for where they are at. And when they are ready, I'll be here. I'll be here waiting. So it's not my job to convince anybody, but I also get excited about blasting those belief systems, because there is an element in our line of work with animals, with dogs, or any line of work really, is, where's the science, where's the science, where's the science? But being in academia, I'm also aware that science has become a bit of a illusionary, distorted, twisted fabrication of the truth of, I have a question that I am going to explore, but I already have an unconscious or preconceived or conscious answer anyway, and so I'm kind of going to build a model around that's something that's going to give me the results that I'm kind of already looking for. And I'm really generalizing there, but I really want to bring spirit back to science, and I really want to bring spirit back to humans, because we are these heart-centered spiritual beings anyway. And I feel, for me, like, I can't unsee what I've seen and I can't undo what I've done, even though I am a scientist. And I feel, for me, that's what gives me kudos, because so many people say to me, oh, it's really weird that you're a scientist and you do this stuff. And I'm like, well, it's not weird. It should be the norm. This is the whole point. And I feel like, for me, it really deeply began. I mean, it sounds such a cliche. It feels like, spirit called me, but really, in that way, it was like spirit was like knocking at the door, banging at the window, and it really spiraled into a deeper, fast track exploration with our animal friends in this way. When I had, well, two big things happened. Firstly, I had a near-death experience, and in that near-death experience, it just taught me so much in that experience. I mean, I didn't really see anything, hear anything. I wasn't given any instructions about, Isla, you must go back to Earth and do this work. It wasn't anything like that, but it was just, there was just nothing. In that moment, I forgot that I was Isla. I forgot all my belief systems, all my woes, all my like, oh my goodness, I'm not good enough, I should have achieved this. There was just nothing. And it really filled me with this different sense of understanding the world, understanding life. And then really a few months after that, or well, not quite a few months, but months after that, I was then in a place where I was going to end my own life. I was going to commit suicide, because I'm like, I still just don't get it. There's something, but I'm still not understanding what that something is. And at the time, I was in an abusive marriage, and I was not in a good place. And there was a woodland that I would go and visit every day. And then in this woodland, there was a particular tree that I would sit on, and this tree was just so nurturing and comforting, and it would kind of bounce, and I'd bounce on this tree, and it reminded me of when I was a baby being rocked. And I was just on this particular day in this woodland, And I heard the words, I was crying, typical kind of like Hollywood style female actress crying. There was the snots, there was the tears of like, I just don't understand life. And then I heard the words, you are enough. And I instantly stopped crying because behind the woodland there was a farmer's field, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm mortified because it's the farmer, and I know the farmer, and bless him, he's just kind of taking pity on me saying these lovely words. And I looked behind me, and there was nobody there. But I was like, I definitely heard, like clear as day, I heard someone say, you are enough. So I went back to crying, and I heard the words again. And I was like, where is that coming from? And then I realized in that moment it was the tree. And so the tree said those words, you are enough. And I'm like, okay, there actually is something else. There really is something else that I wish to explore. I want to explore. Ever since a child, I've believed that everything is connected to us, and it is, and everything is speaking to us. And now it's just started to speak to me in this time when I really, really, really needed it. And then it kind of became a bit of a tumbleweed effect after that, because my animal, so Tunkasila was my closest wolf dog I had at the time, and Tunkasila really, I started to notice that she really appeared in my dreams. And beforehand I was like, oh, she's coming in my dreams, it's my dog, I love her, it's just a dream. But then I realized, no, she's given me information, she's given me instruction, again, not kind of a direct, Isla, in order to achieve, you must do X, Y, and Z, because consciousness doesn't speak to us in that way. We've still got to learn and interpret and feel and be. And then as she started to kind of come into my dreams, I realized that I was able to channel from her. And then I was like, well, if I can channel from her, like, what else can I channel from? Can I channel from other dogs? And so it's kind of been this experience of myself of, how do I create this teaching around our dogs are individuals, our dogs are ecosystems. Yes, as biological beings, we need to support them, but not generally speaking. It makes me laugh. It's like the animals give me this description themselves of like, we're the ones that have written the books. We're the ones that, yes, through very, very, very good educational guesses, but it's still educational guesses. We've gone, oh, when a dog does this, it means this. When a dog does this, it means this. When a dog does this, it means that. Which, yes, in many circumstances that is true. But for me, I'm like, why don't we just go to the individual dog and say, hey, how is it for you? How does this make you feel? I don't care about all of the dogs in the world. I don't care about all of the dogs in your neighborhood. I care about you, because you are the individual having this experience right now. And for me, now that I share that and really teach this concept of your dog as a physical being, but as a physical being, they have a soul. And this includes soul work. We have to include soul work in our development and understanding and research and knowledge of who our animal friends are. And as we look at this soul work for our animal friends, it pulls us into our own soul work, which then tells us, actually, I have all these belief systems around what is right or wrong or good or bad, around, or a dog should be doing this or not that, or when a dog is doing this, they should be doing something else. And that is the soul work, because actually what they end up doing is beautiful little gifts of medicine that basically, to me, our animal friends share to me that they are the elixir to our spiritual amnesia. But what they do is they bring us back into our heart, where we can start to feel again. And as we start to feel again, we start to heal, and we can start to say, hey, how is this animal, regardless whether a professional or an animal guardian, how is this animal also in my life for my own soul journey, for my own healing? Which then allows us to go, okay, where am I projecting onto my animal friend based on what was put onto me as a child? Because what often happens in my line of work with animal professionals, in my line of work with animal guardians, what we unconsciously end up doing is saying those things that were said to us when we were children, where all we want was to be heard. Like, I'm an individual being. I'm having an emotion. I'm trying to express that, and I'm being told I'm good, I'm bad, I'm right, I'm wrong, don't do it, we don't care, not now, it's too busy, go to your room. And we then kind of, inadvertently start to put these onto our dogs. And our dogs are like, hey, that's okay. Like, we signed up for this. That's okay. Like, we're patient, we're patient, we're patient. But can we start to see it now? And that's the bit that I love to unlock and explore for animal professionals and animal guardians, because then it gives us space to breathe. It allows us to take an out breath, and we then take an out breath with our animal friends, and we get to see them in their entirety, and then we get to see ourselves, where we can start to go, oh, hang on, is this just not a charge for me? So an example I'll give you is like Manitou and Lily, our current dogs. Manitou and Lily, when they're at that age of like they were young dogs, but they were on leads, they were on harnesses, and they were starting to pull on the harness. Now, as an animal guardian, I might say, well, I'm angry now. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting annoyed. I'm getting angry because my dogs are pulling on the lead, and it's creating physical discomfort. My shoulders are hurting, my knees are hurting. I'm being dragged forward. That's what we would say. But actually, if we can catch the charge that is being brought forward is the anger. In this moment right now, I'm feeling angry. What I've been told and taught is to find something outside of myself to put that blame, or actually something inside of myself to blame. But I'm not in that space. I'm like, I'm just curious that I'm feeling anger right now. And not right now because I'm walking my dogs. I don't have time to look at the anger right now. I'm just going to enjoy the walk with my animal friends. But when I get home, I'm going to make spaces to go, what is this anger? What is this charge that has made itself known in the presence of my animal friends? My animal friends have actually activated this charge that's not been integrated. And so when I sat in these quiet spaces with the feeling of anger, I was like, wow, that's little girl Isla. That's frustrated 3, 4 year old Isla when she wasn't heard, when she was like, look, I'm surrounded by adults that are saying important things, but as a child, I'm also seeing things that I want to express, that I want to talk about, and I'm being ignored. And that is just, oh, there's this frustration that I'm still carrying. And as I'm working on that, I'm like, oh, is that it? Is that all that anger is? And then I'm like, no, it's not just that. It's my mam's anger. It's my mam's anger that I'm carrying because I'm part of my mother being carried in her womb. And so now I'm looking at how I uncouple all of that anger. And then I'm like, and it's not just that, it's my grandmother's anger. And so how am I doing this for my local relatives that have kind of also been persecuted into these spaces of frustration, of anger, of all those things that arose in them? And I feel for me that if we really are going to make a difference in the animal industry, which for me, I mean, I've been in it now for 15 years, and yes, there has been some great changes, but it's still very much the same to how it used to be in 15 years. And if we're going to make big changes and big impacts, we have to do soul work. And that is what our animal friends are asking us. That in every moment, living with them, working with them, having them, they're inviting us and asking us to do our soul work. And I feel for me, we have to include it, whether we're animal professional, animal guardian, whatever it is that we're teaching when it comes to our animal friends.
Oh, I love this.
This crosses over into business so much, doesn't it? As you're talking here, I'm going like, this is how dog trainers or dog business owners are projecting other people's opinions onto others, and they're stopping themselves from moving forward because of what they've been told as a kid and what their beliefs are and their limited beliefs and all that sort of stuff. And I'm hearing all of that, what you're saying there, and putting it right into the business owner's head.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I love the fact that when you mentioned that soul work, how we have to do it on ourselves. We are, like you've just said, Vic, that projection we are putting on everybody in every thing out there, it all comes from within. And interestingly, we our podcast episode that landed today, actually, that has recently just gone out, we were talking about the trials and tribulations of the dog industry and how everyone has always got an opinion about something. And again, like in 15 years, it hasn't changed. It's the same thing. It's the same arguments. It's all of this. And what I love about connecting it with this soul work bit is that we have to look inwards. And what I love about what you specifically are doing is that you have your belief system around this, and you have done a lot of this work, and you are blazing your own path, and people are paying attention to it because of how passionate you are about it. And it's something that we believe so strongly in. It's something that we coach a lot of our clients on, and because it's the work we do in ourselves, we have to keep looking inwards and going, what is our belief system? It's not for us to decide what anybody else's is. It's for us to keep looking inwards, to keep reflecting, to keep doing the hard stuff, to keep moving forward. And we have, I mean, we have a mission for Canine Business Academy. We really want to be that coaching company that does inspire some change to go, let's not keep doing what we've been doing for the last 15 years. Let's start to put our clients first. Let's start to do some work on ourselves as individuals and stop this blame game and actually, I mean, I say stop the blame game, almost start looking inwards and blame yourself for doing the blame game outward, and then just stop it dead there and go, let's just stop this, look internally and blaze your own path so that people can actually connect with you on a much deeper level than they ever would have done if you are just remaining at this surface level shit that just keeps happening out in the universe anyway, because we're just copying what everybody else is doing. And we're not, it's as if we're not strong enough in our own belief systems to be able to feel confident enough to blaze our own path.
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you for seeing me in that way. I'm gonna really welcome and receive and drink your words. So thank you. And for me, we have, as professionals, regardless of whatever business we're in, as professionals, we have to do our personal work. And the challenge with that is most of us don't want to because it's uncomfortable. And the reality is we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable so we can go, oh, actually, I'm owning that. And that's all that we have to do. We just have to own it. It's not even about blame anymore, because that was what was unconsciously put into us, largely from parents, grandparents, adults around us that are supposed to be wise elders. And elders that are in mature cultures are very wise and are able to see their own wounds and charges and triggers. But our elders in our very immature societies and cultures are not wise. So what they have unconsciously gone and done is said, hey, here's all my wounds as well. I don't know what to do with them, so I'm going to put them onto you. And so as a young child, really, really early on, these belief systems, these opinions, these labels, these rights, wrongs, blames, judge this person, but like this, have really been fed into us. Up until a certain age, so this is what I love about animals and children, up until a certain age, children are living in this space like animals are. And this is why we love animals so much, because they represent the innocent side of us. They represent the wild side of us. They represent the authentic side of us. Our animal friends don't care whether we like them or not. Our animal friends don't care whether they're fat, thin, have an eye missing, have 2 legs, have a nose that's deformed, don't have any teeth. They are in their entirety of who they are, and they love it. Like, I will always say, a dog's not walking down the street going, oh, I wish I was a Great Dane rather than a Springer Spaniel, and I wish I was black rather than brown. So they really teach us about how we can be fully in our heart. And this is the beauty of doing our own personal work, doing the soul work, that we already are working with animals or have an animal in our life that doesn't think, it feels. Now, of course, animals have the ability to have the cognition to work things out, to learn through the mind, but they're not thinking through the mind. They're thinking through the heart because they are feeling all the time. And as animals that we started off as feeling beings, and because we still remain in that animal body, we continue to be feeling beings. It's just been stripped out of us again through punishment. Someone's going to laugh at you. We don't talk about that anymore. Someone's going to think you're stupid. Someone's going to shout at you. You're just going to get punished. And so we it becomes amnesia. And that's why our animal friends will share to me, they are the elixir to our spiritual amnesia, coming back into our own soul work. But we have to get uncomfortable, or we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because we have to go back to the feeling. But that is the beauty of healing. People will come to me all the time, oh, Isla, I want to have healing with you. I want this, I want that, I want the other. And I'm like, that's great. Like, as someone who offers healing, it's basically, I can do the space. I can explore, I can talk, I can share, I can do. But ultimately, we are responsible for our own healing, because healing is all about feeling. So as we are sat here right now, I can mentally describe something to you. Physically, we can arrange to meet, and I can take you somewhere. I cannot feel for you. I cannot feel for Vicky. I can't feel for anybody else. I can just feel for me, as you can only feel for you, Joe, Vicky, as you can only feel for you. So in order to heal, we have to feel. And if we cannot feel, we cannot know what is real. But because we've been told from such an early age that feeling is really dangerous, that it's unsafe, that it's fearful, that we're going to get chastised in some way, or we're going to get blamed, we don't want to go there. So through our animal friends, they're like, hey, I feel all the time. And look how joyous I am. Look how playful I am. Look at how much I don't take myself so seriously. Like, I'm just laughing all the time. they slowly but slowly bring us back into this space of go, oh, yeah, I'm curious here. Someone has just posted something on social media that I now want to be a keyboard warrior and go, right, I don't believe that. I don't agree with that. But why don't we just take a moment and go, oh, curious that this has created a charge in me? Because that's all that it is. It's something that's not been integrated. So it's a little bit like, I don't know, in a Hollywood movie when we're like, the nuclear reactor's going to blow. We have this reactor within us where we are reacting because the charge rises. And all it's saying is like, please, will you please just look at me now? Will you please just listen to me now? Will you please just give me attention? And when we go into these spaces to go, okay, I can, let me give you attention. And we speak to it just as if it's a real thing, because it is, it has consciousness. So it is alive, it is real, and it's within us. And we can speak to it as if we should have been spoken to when we're a child, or we can speak to it if we have got a child, or how we should speak to a child. Hey, sweetheart, like, I'm sorry that I've ignored you all this time, but I'm here now. What is it that you need? What is it that you want? What are you trying to show me? And for some of these charges, they're really easy. Like, they're, oh, that's all that it was. For some of them, they're really deep, and it's a long walk. Like, I am still on my healing journey. That's why it's a journey, because it's lifelong, and it may also be lives long. But this is the beauty of our animal friends. Like, we have created this industry, but our animal friends have actually created it for us to go, you've created this industry to support the emotional state of an animal, to improve training, to give animals a voice. But actually, they've created it for us so that we have our own voice to go, wow. And as a professional, I want to show up as the best version of myself. That doesn't mean to say I am completely authentic, I'm completely pure, I'm completely healed, because I'm in that journey still myself. But I'm aware of the charges, and I'm aware that when a charge comes, the experience itself is irrelevant. So I always have this saying of, the experience itself is irrelevant. What's relevant is the feeling behind it. So where we make the experience relevant, that's where we're putting the blame. Oh, well, it's not me, it's you. Oh, well, it's not me, it's because the dog did this. Oh, it's not my dog, it's my neighbour. Everything that is showing up in our life that's creating a charge is irrelevant. That's just the experience. What is relevant is how that animal, is how that person, is how that post, if it does, brings up a charge within us for us to look at. So everything then in that way, if we do soul work, everything is an expression of spirit coming to us, trying in all these different ways to go, can you see it now? Can you see it now? Okay, finally you see it now. And then when we're in that space, we really get to be in this healing journey with our animal friends. We really get to be in this healing journey with animal professionals to go, wow, like, this post was created, and I'm curious of how that is someone's belief system. I'm curious of that is what they believe. And through discussion and conversation, how can I understand it from their perspective? So there's this saying that there are as many opinions as there are people. Doesn't mean to say it's the truth. It's just opinions. What I'm sharing here doesn't necessarily mean to say it's the truth. It's my belief system. It's my opinion that for me has massively changed my life and massively makes a difference for me. But it's still my opinion. But I'm curious of when someone shares something and I'm like, okay, I don't feel like I agree with that, but I'm curious from their perspective of what makes them say that, what makes them believe it is a belief system, and where does that come from? And when we're in that space where we see people sharing and posting all the time, I mean, I see it all the time. I'm like, there's a charge. And I'm not sitting there being like in the place of like my own ego there. I'm just noticing it. It's just an observation of actually, if we sat down with the majority of the shares, the videos, the posts, and the feedback and the comments, it's a beautiful play where everybody is actually asking everybody else to look at their charge, inadvertently so. But what's happening is, you're triggering me and I can't see the charge, or it's too uncomfortable to feel a charge, so I'm rebounding it back to you. And then this makes me angry because it's a belief system that I don't agree with, so I'm rebounding it back to you. Whereas if we just stop for a moment and go, okay, this doesn't make me feel neutral. I'm not neutral when I am receiving this, or when I'm in this space, or when I'm teaching this, or when I'm hearing this, or when I'm with this animal. I'm not neutral. So it's creating a charge. Let me just take note of that charge, and let me be in a space where I'm able to go, what is this? What is this all about? And most of the time, yes, it stems from when we were children. I mean, it can be ancestral, it can also be past life, but it largely stems from the quality of our life experiences that is showing up in all walks of our life, which is not separate to our business. our healing journey is not separate to our business. We have created it. So our own consciousness and our own psyche spills into our business. But the business itself also has its own consciousness that goes, we're going to create this together and we're going to push you into your soul work from it when a person is ready. And I always have to believe when a person is ready. We can't force it. We can't push it. When they're not ready, they're not ready. When they're ready, they're ready. And the first victory is just recognition of like, oh my goodness, I'm now recognizing these charges. I'm feeling these charges. The feeling is too much. It's too intense. I don't know what to do, but I'm just putting my hand up and owning it. That's huge. That's huge because most of the time we don't want to own it. But it's like, oh my goodness, unconsciously so or consciously so, most professionals, I mean, most people in our society, but most professionals are showing up with a little bit of a performance, right? Oh, I'm really nervous about having this client. I'm really nervous about charging this. Are they going to like it? Are they going to hate it? Are they going to give me a 1-star review? Are they going to be... So we're all just like, let's just show up and like, kind of put on a smile and wave. But when we're in this space of owning it, we can start to realize like most of us are walking around blaming ourselves all the time anyway. We've already got this, again, belief system of I'm not good enough. I'm not as good as this person. I did wrong. I didn't get best results in exams or whatever it may be. But that's kind of where it all begins, because even if I'm working with an animal guardian or even a professional where they're talking to me, and as we're talking about their work or their dog, where they are at, and for example, the charge that then comes forward is guilt. And I'm like, the guilt is not around the X, Y, Z. The guilt is not around, oh my goodness, I hit this dog and now I know better, but I still feel really bad about it. Oh my goodness, I shouted at my dog, or I gave my dog the wrong diet, or I had a belief system that vaccines were the greatest thing alive and now I'm learning different. It doesn't matter what it is. Again, the charge is the guilt. The guilt doesn't come from any of those things. The guilt comes from the very first time it was put into you when you didn't even do anything wrong. And then you start to carry that, and then you start to look for examples, and then that follows you like Pac-Man. It literally is like Pac-Man chasing you for the rest of your life until you go, okay, this is not about me in that way. This is about my soul work. And again, as we step into our soul work, we get to improve not only our relationship with ourselves, not only the relationship with our business, but also the relationship with the animals, that in our heart, our desire is, I want the best for them. And it's like we're giving our animal friends a hard time because we give ourselves a hard time. And once we stop doing that, which is hard because that's what we're conditioned to do better, to strive for more, like beat yourself up. Even when something amazing has happened, it's still not good enough, it could have been better. Wow, like I am really good at where I'm at in this moment. Which is what our animal friends tell us all the time. They're not the ones sitting at home going, oh, I could have been a bit better at that agility. I could have gone around that weave a little bit faster. Oh, on that walk, I could have listened a little bit more. They're just in that space of the moment. And the moment is full of joy, largely so. I mean, we have animal friends that are in their own space of discomfort. But that's where I want us really as professionals that have this ability and capacity to make a difference. That's kind of where I want us to, at the same time. It's like two train tracks running alongside each other concurrently. As we're showing up in our business being a professional, we're at the same time doing our own soul work, doing our own personal work. And as I've already shared, I just feel this is such a powerful part in our animal industry that is missing, and I love to bring it in as part of what we should be exploring and talking about.
I wholeheartedly agree with all of that, and there are so many things that you said there that I could actually go into in so much detail on all of it, because one of those things is that curiosity. I love that word, like be curious about what is happening. And the theme that is coming through strongly from my interpretation of it, thinking of our audience and some of the teachings that we do, is your awareness to connect so deeply and profoundly with anyone you are thinking about is how we believe you should be thinking about your client base from your professional standpoint. So the fact that even when you were describing the scenario of how somebody might feel when their dogs are pulling on lead. And ultimately that brings it back to that charge point. Well, we have this awareness as the professionals, like we know that we have to be connecting with our audience. And we say it time and time again that as much as we are in the business of dogs, we're not really. We're in the business of people, because we can't access those dogs, we can't access the animals unless we are connecting with the people. And to be able to truly understand how they are feeling and the emotions that they are feeling, and potentially even seeing those charges, as you've mentioned, from afar and being able to connect with them so that you have the opportunity to explore that with them. And it's something that has definitely come up in our dog training business over the year, that actually we've been very hands off as dog trainers. Like and actually, I don't think it was ever necessarily an intentional thing when I stop and think about it, because you're taught, aren't you, to go in and do the hands-on stuff and teach the person to use the clicker or do your marker or whatever it is, like teach whatever it is you're teaching and however you teach. But actually what we found, and this shows up in how we operate in Canine Business Academy as well, it is this deep soul work that we have to be doing. It's the mindset bit. We wrote a whole chapter on it in our book. You can't possibly do business well, in our opinion, if you are not fully aware of your triggers, if you're not fully aware of your clients and knowing them inside out, and if you're not fully aware of the purpose of your business, because everything is interconnected. And as much as we say your business, you should be a little bit detached from your business in some areas, the reality is like you are your business as well. And it's finding that dance in between, going, right, okay, in this context, we need to detach and look at the business as a separate entity and go, right, how does that operate? What's its own value system? And how does that work? And how does it connect with its audience? But then likewise, what's your part in it? Like it's all a big jigsaw puzzle, and you have your piece to play within that business bit. So that curiosity bit, I love, because it gives you the opportunity to explore why you are feeling that way. And we see it show up time and time again from business owners in, like you say, I'm not good enough. No one wants to pay that amount of money. I can't possibly charge that. It's why I think the industry is so filled with people actually striving for higher levels of academia. And it is my gut, and I could be wrong, but it's my gut feel that we are striving for academia to almost prove a point to our colleagues, rather than actually out of curiosity and wanting to do it for reasons of, I am genuinely curious about this and I'm going to see how I can do it. So for me, entering into that degree was initially so I could get my clinical behaviourist role. That was the whole purpose of it, so that I could feel better about myself in going, I actually know what I am doing and all of this. And actually, within 6 months, I realised that wasn't the reason I'd gone into it. I was actually genuinely curious, because coming out the other side of it now, I keep saying it like I've finished. I've got 2 exams left next week and then I'll be done. But in my head, I've finished it. But my experience of it is actually I'm not going to go down that clinical behaviourist route now, because it's not my calling. It's not what I'm meant to do. Canine Business Academy is absolutely where that passion is. However, it has not been for nothing. I could look at that experience and go, what a waste of time, what a waste of money. But I'm curious. And actually, there are elements of that I bring into how we teach because of that curiosity. And what I love about all of this, and I know Vicky's super passionate about that mindset bit as well, because I mean, your whole journey these last few years has been very deeply ingrained in personal development. And I don't think there is a light shone brightly enough on it in this industry. It's too, in our opinion, too heavily weighted on go and learn the stuff and then go and deliver.
Can am I allowed to drop the F-bomb? Are we allowed to
Of
swear?
course,
Yeah.
of course.
Perfect then.
I've been quite conservative on this one so far.
So thank you so much for what you shared. And like in reflection, that's kind of what I was told of to get the highest degree in the land, and you will be approved, and you will be a mate. And that was indoctrinated into me. So I got my PhD and I was fucking miserable. Like, I remember doing in one of my like healing journeys, and one of the questions was like, what was success at that time for you? And success was, oh, I'm going to get a PhD and everyone's going to like me and I'm going to feel good about myself. And, you know, I got my PhD and I'm like, I've got my PhD. Fucking miserable. I was the most miserable, confused, depressed, anxious person I'd ever been. And I feel for me that really brings us back to a little bit that I shared of science. Initially was the fundamental basis of science was spirituality, and that's now been lost in science. In science there was that curiosity. I'm really curious that this time of year the birds are here, like where do they go, like when it's like winter time? I'm really curious of how this leaf unfolds and when does it fall, or what. It was all about curiosity and the spiritual aspect of nature that is still around and still there. And what I also want to share is, because we are here to do our own soul growth and soul work, it will happen in all these different ways, and absolutely when we're ready. So I do believe that our own soul and spirit that we are a part of and connected to always knows what's best for us, and is always, it's almost like they've already seen what's going to happen in our life. But because we're in the human physical world, it's very 3D. So it's like trudging through mud. It's like our physical body always takes a while to catch up, which can keep us in the place of the mind of going, oh, but what if, and why is this, and I don't understand, and oh, I've got these things to do. And then the body kind of does catch up, and we're like, oh, right, that's for that. Oh, right, cool, now I understand it. But our soul is already kind of there, and our soul will never give us something that we can't handle, even when we're in challenging times. And look, I've been there many, many a time. It's shit. When we're in it, it's shit. But it's kind of like there is light at the end of the tunnel. But yes, we have to just acknowledge when we're in it, we're supposed to be in it, and it's shit. We're not supposed to kind of ignore it or get out of it. But when we are in these spaces of like that recognition, then we can have this understanding that even though we have created a business, it's the way that our own soul knows what's best for us to get to the point that we're to get to. So we kind of have what's called an external purpose. So our external purpose for animal professionals is like, wow, I want to support animal professionals and make a difference for the lives of animals. But we then also have this internal purpose that's kind of then being created around what we have told ourselves we created. And yes, we have created it on one level. We're the physical conduit. We can make something very physical and tangible, but it's also what our soul has orchestrated for us to go, and this is how you're eventually going to see it. Which is why, yes, when we create a business, it is our consciousness attached to it. So if we're like, oh, you know, I really want to create this business, but I don't feel very good enough, or I lack confidence, or I have anxiety or worry about the person down the road that does it as well. And all those things are right and valid because it's what we feel. And it's not about like being happy all the time or being joy. It's like, wow, I'm feeling. So, so all feelings are valid because it's a feeling. But that also spills over into our business. So then we can explore, well, where is my business now holding this anxiety? Where am I saying, oh, I'd really like to work on X, Y, and Z, but the people aren't coming in for that? Well, where is it that is being kind of like hidden in the business? But because everything that exists also has its own consciousness, the business itself has its own consciousness. So it came to me only relatively recently in the last year where I was just kind of, again, doing some of my own personal work, doing my soul work. And I was like, I've never met my boss. It's a really peculiar thing. Like, how many of us would go to work and say, like, I've never met my boss before. I'm self-employed. I'm like, I've never met my boss. That sounds weird because I'm like, well, Isla, you're your boss because you're self-employed. I'm like, no, my business is called Kachina Canine. My boss is Kachina Canine. I've never sat with him before. I've never had a board meeting before. I've never looked at KPIs or kind of said, look, these are my worries, these are my concerns, this is what's working, this is what's not working. So now, whether it's like a Monday morning meeting, whether it's a monthly meeting, I sit with the consciousness of Kachina Canine, just as I would as if it was a person, and go, hey, like, where are we? Like, what is it that you want out of this business that I have been asked to create and I have created? But I've also created this for you. What is it that you wish to deliver? What is it that you wish to bring? What is it that you're trying to teach me? And that is a really beautiful space to be in, to go, actually, how do I sit down with the conscious my business and have this meeting? Because we're supposed to, because they are in the sense of consciousness, our boss. But for me, some of the things that you were sharing there about, yeah, when we're working with the animal guardians and their animals, I'm in this place now where, someone might be sharing with me, okay, well, my dog always barks when they're outside, and that's annoying the neighbors, and we have these issues inside the house, and then we have these challenges inside the car. And I'm like, okay, I'm hearing those things, I'm acknowledging them, I'm welcoming them and honoring them. Let me just put them over here for a moment. Let me just put them to one side. My first question is out of curiosity. I'm curious to hear what your animal friend is presenting to you. Because even for the animal guardian, that's the start. Because again, outwardly, they're saying, oh, it's the animal. The animal's doing this, and I've read somewhere it's good or bad or right or wrong. The animal's doing this, and I believe it shouldn't be, or I don't want it to happen, or I want a dog that's going to listen to me all the time. There's always it's the dog, it's the dog, it's the dog. And I'm like, okay, in some circumstances, we need to look at that. Let's look at it. But for now, I'm just curious, what is your animal friend presenting to you when they're doing those reactions, when they're doing those responses, when they're doing those behaviors? And then we start to get a conversation, which again is their soul work of, well, I kind of feel embarrassed. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Tell me about this embarrassment. What does it feel like? What does it look like? Let's kind of give it some more depth. Well, I don't know, like it makes me feel really anxious, and I just kind of then create this scenario that people are going to laugh at me. Okay, so here's another thing, like people are going to laugh at you. So what's all this about then? You're going to go out to help a guardian to support the animal, and then there's this embarrassment. Okay, people are going to laugh at me. Let's go a little bit deeper. Like if we look at, okay, this thought of like, people are going to laugh at me. What's behind that? People are going to laugh at me. What's behind that? Well, it's just, it's happened to me before. And then I was just so nervous because I'm an anxious person. And kind of then, I wet myself because I was only 7 years old. And then everyone laughed at me. And then I got told off by the teacher. And then I got chastised when I got home from my parents. And okay, now we're getting some depth. So the beauty is the blame, or what we're putting the focus on, is the dog is doing this, and I don't want the dog to do it anymore. I want to overcome it. I want to fix it. And there's nothing to fix actually in that way. But when we can go, actually, let's be curious of how your animal, as a beautiful being of consciousness that is already complete in its entirety, that our animal friends already love who they are. That's the beauty of them. They actually go, hey, I love me as I am. Can you just love yourself as you are? Like, that's really what they're asking us to do. But this animal being has fallen into that person's life to go, I'm here to help you do your soul work, to look at that time of when you were chastised, or when you were told off, or when you wet yourself, or when you were embarrassed, or when you were anxious, that you've been carrying for your entire life, that is being showing up in all these different ways. That's where we're to start. And as we start there, it's not that the guardian doesn't stop caring. It's just that we care from a very, very different perspective. And then a lot of the time we actually go, oh, so actually what my animal friend's doing is not a problem. No, it's not a problem. Like, that's them, who they are. And yes, that might mean we don't take them to places that they can't cope with. That might mean that we need to put in some protocols that support them. That might mean we go to their own conscious to go, hey, how is it for you as an individual? Not how is it for me? How is it for the guardian? How is it for you? And then we start to have a different conversation. And it always perplexes me with them. Like I've actually just come home from seeing my sister in Liverpool. She is like, me and my sister get on so well, but she's a city girl. She loves eyelashes, jewelry, nails, smart dress, going out socializing, drinking, going to the hub of the city. I love country, mud, climbing trees, getting dirty, lying on the earth. If someone was to say to me, oh, well, you're a human, Isla, so in order to be a human, you should live in the city, and you should love going out on a Saturday night, you should love drinking, you should love wearing makeup, having your hair done, having your nails done, having your eyelashes done, I'd be like that, well, I don't know what the hell I am, but I'm not human, because all those things make me retract, make me withdraw. But yet, that might be what someone's saying to me about being human, and we kind of do the same things to our dogs. Or in order to be a dog, they must do X, Y, and Z. But if they do A, B, C, well, that's not right, or that needs to change, or there's something wrong about that. Well, they are individuals and they know who they are. So actually, in that moment, what they're doing is perfect for them. It might not be in our society, like, you can't really want to try and bite the neighbour down the road because that is going to get us into trouble. So that's when we put in protocols to go, how we can support this animal friend that is struggling in that moment, behaviourally, emotionally, their physical body is going, okay, this is a charge where I'm struggling. How can we create safety there? How can we create support? But also, again, like these two train tracks concurrently, how do we go to the guardians and go, wow, your animal friend, and this is really the soul work that I bring forward, is your animal friend in a physical body is cleverly disguised an expression of spirit, where spirit goes, this is the best way that I can get you to see. And it may still take time, and that doesn't matter. When it's to be seen, it's to be seen, and we trust that. But when that animal guardian is there, of wow, let's explore your animal friend is presenting to you of these charges, and let's go back and let's go back. Just having a dialect with them of, as an example, like I've shared, the embarrassment, the anxiety, the wetting myself, the being told off, and how we just go, and it goes. And I kind of say that because I'm talking loosely. For some of these charges, it will just be like, oh, I've just given it a voice, it's now gone. Some of them can be really, really deep traumas. I'm still working with the traumas of being in an abusive marriage, which was, over 10 years ago. Some have gone, but some I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I recognize that that's still there. It gets softer. It gets softer. I never want to use the word easier. It gets softer. It gets softer because the more that we do it, the more that we get to recognize it. But our animal friends are one of those beautiful gifts bundled up, cleverly disguised as dogs that make us go, oh my goodness, I love you, I feel safe around you. And we love them and feel safe around them because they are the epitome of unconditional love. And that's then what they're emitting to us. Can you also love yourself unconditionally? And that is what they're asking.
I feel like if someone works with you, the impact that you're going to have on their lives is going to be so multifaceted in loads of different ways, because a dog owner comes and says, my dog's barking at this, and they come away with this whole different perspective of themselves and their friends and their family and everything in their life. And like, how do you even describe that to somebody? What do you even call yourself? Because I feel like for us, when we're doing business coaching, like I even hate that term, like we're business coaches. The business part obviously is a massive part of what we're doing because we're trying to create a better business, but it's all about everything you've just said there. Like, it's all about that internal work. It's all about find out who you really are and what you want to do first. Then we can work on the blockers and all of those things that you've described. And I love also thinking of it like a charge. It's that space, isn't it, between the trigger and the response, and it's having that choice. And we've all got that choice, and we don't think we have. I think sometimes it's like it has to go one way or the other. And I don't know, I just feel like it interlinks so well. And like, I want to come and work with you because I'm like, oh my God.
We're signing up after this, like, we're in.
Yeah, I just feel like that impact must be huge. So what sort of, it's probably a difficult question to answer, but like, when someone comes in and they've got probably a preconceived idea of what they're going to get from you, how does that impact them? And I'm not asking for specifics, but like, yeah, it must be so varied, that kind of impact that you have.
Yeah, and thanks Vicky for asking that and sharing it, because in terms of like even the first question of like what is it that you do, it is still really hard for me, like, oh God, how do I put that in a nutshell? Because it's very much, I don't know, I'm meeting someone for the first time. Oh, you're just having polite conversation. Oh, Isla, what is it that you do? Oh, I work with dogs. Oh, you're a dog trainer then? No. Oh, right, so what is it that you do? I'm like, how do I explain that in 30 seconds? It's still a challenge for me. I still haven't kind of found. How do I kind of put that in a 30-second kind of like interview brief? But I feel it's almost like the guardian when I'm working with people, even professionals, has said to me like that, oh, so there's nothing wrong then? Like, exactly. That's the whole point. There is nothing wrong. And it's almost like bringing us, so many of us feel so disconnected. Like we're constantly trying, oh, I want to be happy. I want to be happy. When I've got the next degree, when I've got it's the next qualification, like it'll make me happy. Like Joe's kind of been sharing about, it's the next qualification, the next course, the next client, the next thing. We're looking for things outside of us to make us happy. When the reality is, it's connecting to the self, and that doesn't mean to say, oh, once I connect to self, I'm going to be happy all the time. I don't feel in this soul journey that we are in, when we do our soul work, it's not supposed to be happy all the time. One of the things that I teach, I mean, you can Google it, it's called the hero's journey. Storytellers use the hero's journey all the time. People, when we watch a film, we're watching the hero's journey, but it's also a very real part of our existence of, oh, okay, here we go again. Here's a trigger, here's a challenge, here's a charge. I can either choose to just ignore it and still be disconnected and miserable, or be with it and maybe be in confusion, maybe be miserable, maybe in floods of tears for a while, but then get the clarity from it. Almost like in the rainstorm, we kind of get hunkered down and we just wait for the rainstorm to pass. And then the sun comes out shining, the birds are singing, we kind of feel like we've had a massive purge and cleanse. And so that purge and cleanse for the person I'm working with really seems to be that space overall of, oh, so there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Yes, there is nothing wrong, because that's not true. That is, again, that is the framework of the mind. The mind is here or here. It's good or bad. It's right or wrong. It's black or white. Whereas the space of the soul work, the heart, the feeling, it's everything. It's the good and the bad and the wrong and the uncomfortable and the happy and the snots and this. It's all welcomed. It's all welcomed. So we get to be in this space of, oh, well, everything is welcomed. That allows the person to relax. That allows the person to go, okay, there's nothing wrong with me, even though right now I'm being judging. And that's okay, because you're recognizing it. Whereas when did you last oh, actually, I didn't recognize it. So that's okay. You've just recognized, like, you've just seen a post, or you've seen your neighbour's vase in the window and looked and go, why the hell would someone have a vase like that in the window? That's still judgment. Judgment we sometimes think is, I really, really don't like that person and I don't like what they're wearing. And judgment can be as really simple as, yeah, ooh, who would have that vase in their house? Well, what if that vase they love, or it belonged to their long lost relative, or there's a story behind it that is valuable to them? It's not our place to judge that. But we can be in that space of, oh, so you're telling me there's nothing wrong? I mean, exactly. So yes, your animal friend is showing behaviours that society may say is wrong, that the books may say is wrong, that we've been, again, conditioned to believe it is wrong. But how is something wrong if that is the animal feeling? How can that be wrong? Feeling is not wrong, but then it brings us into, when were we told what certain behaviour, what certain feelings were good and acceptable, and certain behaviours were not good, or feelings were not good and acceptable? And that's why I just see it all the time. We can see it of the feelings that we like in our animal friends are the feelings that we were taught as an early child, they're acceptable, but other ones aren't. And that shuts us off. That makes us lost. That makes us disconnected. It only allows us to see part of who we are rather than who we are fully. And that's what animal friends, they can't not do that. They can't not show up fully in who they are. But then we're trying to create these conditions and squeeze them into something that they're not, which then can exacerbate the challenges or what our animal friend is presenting, because it's almost like, it's not don't you tell me what to do and not to do, but like, don't you tell me who I am, because this is who I am and I love me. And so we can go back into this space, really, when I'm working, with whoever is ready to come. And that's what I just have to trust of, like, then I'm the person for you, or I'm not the person for you. But really, in its simplicity, I want you to be at that space of, like, you didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong. And maybe if we go, well, actually, I did do something really wrong because I did this. Right. So now you own it, right? You, in your own way, do what needs to be done to bring neutrality around that. Do you need to forgive yourself? Do you need to go to that person, even though you might just get a slap in the face, even though you might not get a thank you, but then it's kind of doing the wrongs or putting the wrongs right where there maybe has been something wrong. But in most situations, it's like, there's nothing wrong. But because because it's spilling over us, and because we're not giving it attention, we're not feeling it, it spills over into everything else. So it spills over into our dogs. And then we're being told it's the dog, go to dog classes, go to dog training, the dog needs to be this, the dog needs to be the polite little dog. We're only happy when the dog is doing something that we like. And like, how controlling is that? We're only happy when the dog is doing something that we like or that we want, or doesn't bring up these charges in ourselves. But that's also detrimental to our soul work, and that's what they're here for. They are also here, yes, for what we can do to support them. but they're also here for our soul work. And there's this lovely saying, I share this in so many of my teachings, of the longest journey we will ever go on is the distance from here to here. So the longest journey we'll ever go on is the distance from our head to our heart, which is not far. It's not far, but it's the longest journey we will ever go on. Because again, up until a certain age, like, this is what I love of when we're developing in the womb. So when we are a fetus, the heart comes online at 4 weeks old. So a 4-week-old fetus is having a heart experience. We are heart beings. The brain doesn't start to be activated until the 3rd trimester. So we are having a heart experience at 4 weeks old. And then up until a certain age, we are so closely connected to our animal friends, and both animals and children are so closely connected to spirit because they're having a heart experience. They have no labels, they have no words, they have no belief systems, they have no conditions. They have no idea of what is red until we say to them, that's red, anything else is not red, so you're going to get told off for that. So it's again the conditioning. And so when we kind of go into these spaces of how do we go back into the heart, which is where our animal friends live from. And so that's what they're constantly kind of bringing us back to. Just come back into your heart. Yeah, don't worry about that. Just come back into your heart. Yeah, don't worry about that. Come back into your heart. Where we can start to have these feelings again, whether they are, uncomfortable, comfortable, to bring forward these reflections. And for me, because I did have a PhD and I was fucking miserable. I did have a PhD, I should say, and I was fucking miserable. I've been to the lowest of the lowest of the low. We are not on this earth, in this space, to be experiencing that. We're absolutely not. And because I've been there, I want everyone to know, like, how life can be like. Yes, in our soul work, these challenges come because it is part of our soul growth. It is part of, oh, I'm still holding this doubt. I'm still holding this pain. I'm still holding whatever it may be, these traumas. But as we get to feel them, we get to be with them. And then when we're in those space, we get to go, and even in the discomfort, it gets to be a good day. And even in this discomfort, it gets to be a bad day. And that is okay. But doing our soul work and our personal work, it's not separate to anything else. And as our animal friends are, and what we are here to do is to be in that state of our soul evolution, to be highest level of consciousness that we can be. And that's where I want everyone to be. And the way for me as a soul and the medicine that I'm to bring forward is to do it with our animal friends, to do it for animal professionals, animal guardians, through their animal friends. There's no difference between whether we are doing it consciously when we work at a bank, consciously and we build cars, consciously and we teach at a gym. There's all different ways of doing it. And I kind of want to share this story because this whole concept of, oh, well, Isla, you contemplated suicide and you had really bad experiences, and, many people can be there. Or even animals, right? We're kind of talking about animals that may be in a loving home where the guardians want the best for them. What about animals that are in a home where they are still being abused and punished and shouted out, or the person doesn't care? They're just at a different level of consciousness. They're not right or wrong or good or bad in that way. They're just at a different level of consciousness. But it's still part of the oneness. So like Joe shared, of like everything is interconnected. So again, we can see something outside of ourselves. Well, I'm certainly not like that person that's hitting the dog, shouting the dog, abusing the dog, not understanding their dog. But in a way we kind of are, because nothing is separate to us. The things that we see out in the world that we would say are unkind, that are wrong, like how can someone do that to an animal? We are also indirectly responsible for then that person showing up as a message of consciousness, but now in a physical form. Because we can go, but where have I spoken those words to myself? Where have I tortured myself? Where have I punished myself? Where have I hated on myself? And because so many of us are doing that, we can't contain it in ourselves. And because we are energy and vibration, what happens is energy follows consciousness, which is why, yes, the words that we speak, the thoughts that we have are put out to the world and are reflected back to ourselves, but they're put out into the world. So we can actually start to see, okay, that person that is abusing that animal that is having a lot of suffering, as the name we would give it, how am I indirectly responsible for that? Which most people don't want to hear. Most people do. I'm not responsible directly or indirectly for that at all. We are, because where have you put that suffering on yourself? Where have you put that abuse on yourself? I did exactly the same many years ago. I literally walked around every day going, I don't deserve love. I'm not lovable. I don't deserve love. And so, of course, unconsciously so, I put myself into those experiences where I wasn't deserving of love, but that's what I believed, which is not true. We are supposed to be here to be expressions of unconditional love, which is, again, what our animal friends bring us into. But if this kind of helps to land even more, it's not my story that I'm going to share, it's someone else's story. So I was on a talk many years ago, and it was kind of around consciousness and healing. And there was a lady from Africa that was sharing this story. So her grandmother is a medicine woman, and she came to her grandmother to say, grandmother, I'm hurting, my heart is hurting because I don't understand this world that is supposed to be about consciousness, care, love, kindness. And it was around the time when the Twin Towers collapsed. She's like, there's so much, I don't understand how the world, how, spirit, how these things happen if everything's supposed to be about love. And her grandmother sat with her and she's like, sweetheart, everything is interconnected. So she was I'm kind of paraphrasing now, but she used this as an example to basically say how consciousness is rising, but because it's going to take time, because the greed has been there for such a long time, the ego, that it's all about me, I can't possibly talk about the insecurities I have, so I'm just going to put it onto somebody else. So she shared that in that moment when the Twin Towers collapsed, like, even we think about it now, certainly for me, when I feel into it, I'm just like, it's still that harrowing, like, shock just makes me just turn into stone. I just freeze. And when the Twin Towers collapsed, throughout the world, everybody went like, what the fuck? Like, no, like, come, really? Oh my goodness, this is real. So everybody in that moment pretty much paused. Everyone stopped breathing, took a breath in together, and breathed out together. In that moment, we absolutely became one. We all breathed in together and all breathed out together. We talked about it more. There was more care in the community. We're looking after our neighbours, our family, our friends. Are you okay? How you did? Oh my goodness, do you need anything? There was this huge rise in consciousness. And then what happened is some people stayed there, but days went by and weeks went by and months went by, and people then filter back down to go, no, I only care about me and I'm not looking at my own soul work and I'm putting that blame onto this person. But then another shock comes, like, oh my goodness, all these animals that have been abused and they're all over the news or all over our local community, and some have had to be put to sleep, some of them have died, and oh my goodness, they are also playing their part to go, we're trying to get the humans to rise into this level of consciousness because we're the only ones that are not in our wholeness. Everything else in existence is in their wholeness. We're the only ones that aren't. And our animal friends that we have domesticated, that are in our lives, that have chosen to be in our lives, are the ones that have come here to go, we'll do this. We'll be the ones that come to the humans to go, can you do this now? Because if anything's going to change, we need you. We can't do this on our own, because as humans, we have the power, we have such influence. And because we have this beautiful gift of the mind, we can use the mind for good or bad. And so Einstein, again, I use this phrase so much, Einstein has this beautiful saying of the rational mind, which is the brain. The rational mind is a faithful servant. The intuitive mind, which is the heart, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift. But we live in a society that honours the servant and has forgotten the gift. And our animal friends are really in this space with us to go, you are this gift. Can you please come back into your intuitive mind? Because since you were 4 weeks old as a fetus, you've been in your intuitive mind, and that's where you started life from. So we just need you to come back into that space. And through them, when we start to be curious and start to give it attention, again, we don't need the answers. We're so busy, like, but I need the answer, and how long is it going to be, and how long is it going to take? Time is elastic. It will start when it starts. We'll be ready when we're ready. It will be completed when it's completed. We're just here to be in that space of being with it and giving it a voice and exploring it and having curiosity around it that allows us to go, okay, this is what I have come to explore. This is what I am here to heal from. This is why I'm on this journey with my animal friend. And I'm aware of the edges and discomfort it may bring when we do talk about suffering. Nothing is supposed to have suffering. Like, people come to me often and, I don't know what to do with all the animals that are suffering. But it's okay for trees to be suffering and waters to be suffering and soils to be suffering. It's okay for children to be, nothing is okay to be suffering, but because it's something that's being created in consciousness, the souls that are playing their part to go, look, I am the physical, and I am the individual that is allowing other humans to physically see the suffering here because of the suffering that that person has placed in themselves. And I'll put my hand up for that. I'm indirectly responsible for that because of the hate and blame and suffering and torture and torment that I gave myself. I mean, not now, but I used to. That when we're in that space, when we do our soul work, what we realize, and this is kind of one of the things that I do with our animal friends as well, is that this is not the only thing I have been, and it's not the only thing I will be. So when I die, when I transition, I'm only going to transition once as Isla in this human form. But I have been many things, and if I choose to be so or need to be so, I will be something else again. And when we are entering that space through curiosity and through our soul work, we can also start to realize, wow, I don't want anything to be suffering. How can I play my part into improving that and changing that as I do my own soul work? And how can I recognize that my animal friend, even though in a canine body, has been something else, has been many other things, and has the potential to be something else? We can then start to tap into who did they used to be, and how is that also coming through in the dog that they are? And that's one of the things that I also work with, of like, okay, your dog is a canine now, but also in a past life they used to be this. And some of these things are coming through in what they are presenting or what they are showing. And some of those things need to be cleared, or some of those things are, that is who they are. And so it brings us back into that space of, okay, this is who I am, and that is also okay.
I literally hanging off of every word that is leaving your mouth. And there was a moment in that where I actually felt really emotional, and I could feel almost my eyes starting to water, because it was a really powerful segment almost in going, let's all rise in that consciousness together. Let's do something. And I feel like it's a real poignant message that Vicky and I are so deeply trying to inspire some change in this industry by raising that consciousness of people, by asking you to sit in the uncomfortable, like we were talking about at the start of this podcast episode. And yeah, everything just, I don't know, I feel like the tone of this particular episode has just hit really close to home, actually. And it's a completely different, I don't know, like I said at the start of this episode, I had no idea where this was going to go today, but I feel like this was the perfect outcome for what we wanted this episode to be. And I absolutely feel like we need to do a mini series with you, because I think there are so many aspects to explore, and the integration and the crossover into business and that personal awareness, and how we can raise this industry together through those levels of consciousness and awareness is just something that, I don't know, I don't feel like you meet many people all the time that you can connect so deeply with. And I genuinely feel like you've had a massive impact on both myself and Vicky today.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And also what you shared is, it's music to my ears of like, that's what we're here to do, is to, in our own way, in our own niche, in our own medicine, is to raise consciousness. So it's just like, oh, I'm here to raise consciousness ... of animal professionals in the animal industry. I'm here to raise consciousness ... of CEOs that work for big corporate companies. I'm here to raise consciousness ... That's what we are here to do in all of our different ways, until I absolutely trust that it will happen, maybe not in my era, of when we are just, oh, I am just in consciousness now of, oh, I've just had this conversation with Joe, and oh, actually I've just had a charge there, not, oh, I've had this conversation and Joe said this and she said that and now I hate her and now I'm going to judge her and spend the rest 5 weeks hating on her. It's thank you, I've just felt a charge there. Let's talk about it. Or let me bring it to you. Like, I want to explore a little bit more, or I'm curious that we have a very different belief system around a particular subject, I'm really curious of how it is for you and how you got there with that. And this is my interpretation of it. And that's kind of the tapestry that we are to be having by raising consciousness of ourselves and supporting others to do it for themselves as well.
Yeah, I love it. Right, on that note, let's end it there. And thank you ever so much for your time today. And yeah, we will definitely be doing a follow-up little mini-series.
Before you go, we've got one last question. Who we ask?
Oh.
We ask this to everybody, and
Okay.
for some people, it does stump them. So,
Oh.
who do you know that could come onto our podcast and spread their message to help our audience?
Yeah, that is. I'm like that. Because I'm like that. Oh, loads. But then I'm like, but who? I'm going to say Dr. Linda Luden, who's over in America. Do they need to be UK?
No.
No, Dr. Linda.
Incredible. We will make that happen. Thank you ever so much again, Isla. Lovely talking to you.
And also, just let everybody know where they can find more about you if they're interested in hearing more about what you've got to say or they want to work with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, so my website is kachinacanine.com. So Kachina, canine as in the name. So Canine, kachinacanine.com. Where you can read about my group offerings, one-to-ones, my books, just the nature of that of work, also my ceremonies as well. And then I'm on Instagram as Kachina_canine_wellness. I have my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Isla Fishburne, Kachina Wellness. And also Facebook is Isla Fishburne or Kachina Canine Wellness.
Awesome. We'll put those all in the show notes so people can click and find you.
Yeah, and I just want to say well done, Vicky, because I always forget to do that little
I
bit.
knew
'cause
she'd forgotten
I'm
that.
too engrossed in all the feelings from that. So thank you, Vicky, for doing your part
You're
in this
welcome.
as well. See you later.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been lovely speaking to you. Have a beautiful rest of the day and look forward to speaking to you more. Many blessings.